We've been told that a clean smile is a sign of health, beauty, and confidence. But once upon a time, the very act of brushing your teeth could kill you. In the early 1900s, a young woman in New Jersey began every morning the same way, with a radiant smile and a brand new product the world couldn't stop talking about: toothpaste infused with radium. Yes, radium, the same glowing substance that would later be used in nuclear weapons. She brushed faithfully, believing she was cleaning and whitening her teeth. She had no idea that each stroke of her toothbrush was slowly burning holes through her jawbone. Because back then, the brighter the glow, the healthier it seemed. This is the story of how we turned the simple act of brushing our teeth into one of humanity's most dangerous experiments in the name of beauty, profit, and trust. Welcome to Darkly Explained. Let's go back to where it all began. Long before Colgate, before whitening strips, before shiny tubes and colorful gels, the first toothpaste was a powder made from ashes, crushed bones, and burnt eggshells. Around 5000 BC in ancient Egypt, people cared about oral hygiene, not for vanity, but for survival. They believed that bad breath came from evil spirits entering through the mouth, so they used abrasive powders to chase the spirits out. Their recipes were creative, to say the least: charred ox hooves, burnt eggshells, crushed myrrh, and even powdered pumice stones. The texture was rough, like sand. The taste was bitter and smoky, but it worked to a degree. It scraped off food residue and gave a feeling of cleanliness. As time moved on, the Romans added flavor. They mixed charcoal, bark, and salt, and sometimes urine. Yes, human urine. Because in ancient Rome, it was believed that ammonia found in urine had whitening properties. Ironically, that part was scientifically correct. Urine does contain ammonia, which is used today in cleaning agents. The Romans weren't entirely wrong, just unspeakably unhygienic. Imagine paying money for imported bottled urine from Portugal because the Romans did exactly that. For centuries, oral hygiene remained a matter of culture and superstition. In medieval Europe, brushing your teeth wasn't common at all. People believed tooth pain came from worms living inside the gums. Barbers, not doctors, would treat this by scraping or burning the gums, sometimes applying mixtures of honey, vinegar, or crushed herbs. Tooth decay was considered a curse, not a hygiene problem. It wasn't until the 1700s, when trade between Europe and Asia flourished, that tooth powders began returning to fashion. Imported ingredients like china clay, cinnamon, and chalk became prized luxury goods for the wealthy. The idea of a bright, clean smile became a symbol of sophistication. It wasn't about health anymore. It was about status. And this obsession with image, the need to look healthy rather than be healthy, would eventually pave the way for one of the deadliest consumer products ever made. By the early 1800s, the world was changing fast. Factories were booming. Chemistry was becoming a business, and advertisements promised miracles in small bottles. One of the first commercial toothpastes was created by William Colgate, a soap maker from New York. In 1873, Colgate launched a creamy dentifrice, sold in jars that promised perfect whiteness and eternal freshness. Soon after, in 1892, an American dentist named Washington Sheffield changed everything. He invented the first collapsible toothpaste tube inspired by artists' paint tubes. It was clean, convenient, and revolutionary. The race for the perfect smile had begun. Every company wanted to sell purity, freshness, and health, even if they didn't understand the science. That's when the danger crept in. Because when you mix greed with chemistry and add a touch of human vanity, history shows someone always gets hurt. Subtle shift in tone. Darker music begins to build. At the dawn of the 20th century, toothpaste companies were experimenting with new ingredients. The goal? To make your mouth feel cleaner even if it wasn't. They began adding things like hydrogen peroxide, formaldehyde, arsenic, and lead powder. These substances made the mouth tingle and the teeth shine temporarily. But over time, they caused burns, ulcers, and even cancerous lesions. And then came radium, the miracle glow of the century. After Marie and Pierre Curie discovered radium in 1898, the world went mad for it. It glowed in the dark, symbolized progress, and was believed to give life energy. So companies started adding it to everything: face creams, chocolates, health tonics, and yes, even toothpaste. One of the most famous was a German brand called Doramod radioactive toothpaste. Its slogan, "Radiation strengthens your gums and whitens your teeth." The paste literally glowed in the dark. Customers loved it. They thought the glow meant purity. But radium, as we now know, is a radioactive killer, one that silently burns tissues and eats away bones from within. The victims were countless, but none were as famous as the women later called the Radium Girls, factory workers, who painted watch dials with radium and licked their brushes to sharpen them. Their jaws disintegrated. Their teeth fell out. Their bones shattered like glass. Yet advertisements still claimed the glow of good health. It's here where the story of toothpaste stops being about hygiene and becomes a story of deception, vanity, and slow death hidden behind every smile. It was the dawn of the chemical revolution, a time when people believed that science could fix everything, even their smiles. But behind the glowing promises and sparkling grins, something far more dangerous was being stirred, literally in laboratory jars and toothpaste tubes across America and Europe. Before World War I, there were no safety standards. Chemists were inventing formulas faster than governments could regulate them. If something foamed, sparkled, or smelled fresh, it was sold to the public without question. Hydrogen peroxide was one of the first ingredients used for whitening. It did remove stains, but it also burned gums, corroded enamel, and caused lasting nerve pain. Still, companies kept using it because consumers loved the tingle. Then came formaldehyde, a chemical used to preserve dead bodies. In the early 1900s, formaldehyde was added to mouthwashes and tooth powders to kill germs. No one told buyers that it also killed healthy cells. Advertisements boasted, "A clean mouth is a happy mouth," and the public believed it. In truth, that clean sensation was microscopic tissue, damage your gums being chemically scorched in the name of freshness. And it wasn't just America. In Britain, in France, and in Germany, new products were being rushed to market faster than science could test them. This was the new arms race, not of war, but of white smiles. To understand how dark things became, you have to remember that poison wasn't always seen as bad. In the early 1900s, doctors prescribed mercury as a cure for colds and constipation. Lead was used in face creams, and arsenic, one of the most lethal substances on Earth, was sold as a skin brightener. These same elements found their way into early toothpastes and powders. Why? Because they made teeth appear shinier temporarily. Lead carbonate gave a pearly white illusion. Mercury compounds killed bacteria and nerves. Arsenic created a brief sense of freshness before it began attacking the internal organs. Faint industrial clanging, echo of machinery. There was no ingredient list, no warning label, no FDA to oversee safety. The idea of consumer protection simply didn't exist yet. If a product made your mouth feel cool or your teeth gleam in the mirror, you bought it again. Many users didn't live long enough to realize the cost. By the 1,930 seconds, a new discovery entered the picture: fluoride. Scientists noticed that people in certain regions of the U.S. had fewer cavities, and their water naturally contained small amounts of fluoride minerals. Companies saw opportunity. Fluoride became the next miracle ingredient. Soon, it was in everything: toothpaste, mouthwash, even tap water. Ads promised, "Fluoride, the guardian of your smile." But behind the scenes, some scientists raised early warnings. Too much fluoride, they said, could weaken bones, stain teeth, and affect brain development in children. Governments ignored the protests. Fluoride was cheap, easy to produce, and made dental products appear scientifically advanced. The debate continues even today between those who see it as a health necessity and those who see it as a quiet, government-endorsed toxin. It's radium, formaldehyde, or fluoride. One truth remains constant. Every time we find a miracle ingredient, we discover its dark side too late. In the mid-20th century, companies discovered something fascinating. People associated foam with cleanliness. Even though foam has nothing to do with cleaning effectiveness, consumers wanted bubbles. So chemists began adding detergents, the same compounds used in dish soaps and laundry products, into toothpaste. One of these was sodium lauryl sulfate, or SLS. It created beautiful white foam, but it also stripped the mouth's natural lining, caused canker sores, and left gums inflamed. Still, the toothpaste felt luxurious, powerful, and refreshing. No one asked what made it tingle. They just liked that it did. The tingle became the product's identity, and from then on, every major brand made sure brushing wasn't just about cleaning, it was about feeling something. Whether it burned, fizzed, or foamed, the consumer had to believe it was working. In truth, it was clever psychology and a global illusion. By the 1,940 seconds and 50 seconds, advertising had taken over science. Toothpaste wasn't sold as a medical product anymore, it was a lifestyle statement. Television ads showed perfect families, radiant mothers, and smiling children. Posters said, "Keep your teeth shining bright. Your smile sells you." But the irony was brutal. Those shining teeth were being brushed with ingredients that had never been safety tested, artificial colors, preservatives, and industrial chemicals that today would be banned in food. The post-war years saw the rise of beauty as morality. If you looked clean, people assumed you were good, trustworthy, successful. Companies used fear as a weapon. Don't lose your job over bad breath. Don't let yellow teeth ruin your marriage. Only the modern woman brushes twice a day. The message was clear. Cleanliness wasn't just health, it was virtue. And no price was too high to look pure, even if the price was your health. For decades, people brushed loyally, trusting the brands that promised them beauty. But behind those smiles were quiet tragedies. Dental records from early hospitals show rising cases of gum cancer, tooth loss, and chemical burns. Many doctors didn't connect them to toothpaste, because who would suspect something so innocent? It wasn't until the late 1,960 seconds that medical researchers began documenting links between certain toothpaste ingredients and long-term health effects. By then, millions had already suffered silently. Slow fade out. Music becomes somber. The world was changing, but the damage had been done. And what came next wasn't reform. It was reinvention. Toothpaste would soon become more than just a hygiene product. It would become a symbol of the modern world's obsession with perfection. And that obsession, as we'll soon uncover, comes with its own shadow. By the middle of the 20th century, the war was over, the world was rebuilding, and people wanted to believe in perfection again. White picket fences, shiny cars, gleaming kitchens, and on every bathroom shelf, one small symbol of modern virtue, the toothpaste tube. But this time, science wasn't leading the charge. Advertising was. Corporations learned something powerful during the Second World War. If you could sell courage with posters, you could sell anything with emotion. So agencies that once made propaganda began making toothpaste ads. They didn't talk about enamel or chemistry. They talked about love, success, and belonging. A man with bad breath would lose the girl. A woman with dull teeth would never marry well. Clean teeth became a social passport. Every smile on the screen said the same unspoken line: if you don't look clean, you don't deserve happiness. And people believed it because it felt moral. Brushing was no longer hygiene, it was redemption. Behind the cameras, very little real research was happening. Laboratory coats appeared in commercials not because scientists were involved, but because they made viewers trust the product. An ad might show a beaker fizzing or an X-ray flashing across a tooth, while a calm voice said, "Clinically proven protection." Proven by whom? No one ever asked. A single laboratory photo shoot could justify years of scientifically advanced branding. Even the word dentist became a marketing tool. Actors in white coats claimed. 4 out of 5 dentists recommend. There was rarely a 5th dentist, or even 4 real ones. But numbers felt like truth, and truth sold tubes. The toothpaste aisle turned into a psychological battlefield. Color mattered. Names mattered. Even the sound of squeezing a tube was tested. Blue suggested trust. Green implied freshness. Red shouted excitement. Designers learned that if a product looked sterile, people assumed it was safe. Meanwhile, ingredients stayed largely the same. Detergents, fluoride, sweeteners, preservatives. But the tube had a new mission: to make fear look beautiful. Kills 99% of germs. Whitens instantly, now with micro-cleaning crystals. Buzzwords replaced evidence, and consumers were hypnotized by rhythm, rhyme, and repetition. When television entered American homes, toothpaste became one of its first super advertisers. Short jingles embedded themselves in memory. You'll wonder where the yellow went. Children learned brand names before they could spell them. Sponsors funded entire family shows in exchange for smiles at the end of each episode. The message was omnipresent. Your worth begins with your teeth. At that moment, dental health stopped being private care and became a public performance. When competitors flooded the market, fear became the next weapon. Ads whispered threats of halitosis, tooth rot, stained smiles, and social rejection. In the 1,960 seconds, one campaign showed a lonely woman staring into a mirror. Voiceover. They avoid her, and she doesn't know why. The solution? A new brand of minty toothpaste. Fear in, purchase out. Simple psychology. Governments finally began discussing regulation, but advertisers stayed one step ahead. Whenever one claim was banned, a new synonym appeared. Germ killer became plaque fighter. Chemical freshness became natural whitening. The illusion adjusted, but never broke. By the late 1,970 seconds, children brushed twice a day without question. They trusted cartoons and jingles more than teachers. Dentists received corporate grants to study cavity prevention. Entire generations grew up thinking one brand could decide their confidence. Yet, hidden reports inside these same corporations revealed something chilling: an increase in mouth irritation, allergic reactions, and fluoride toxicity in toddlers. Some studies were quietly buried. A few scientists who spoke out lost their funding. We had traded curiosity for comfort, and comfort sold better than truth. Regulation, cover-ups, and the modern smile obsession. How lawsuits, health agencies, and influencer culture transformed the toothpaste industry again, and why the illusion of purity still rules our mirrors today. By the late 1,970 seconds, the world had begun to ask questions. Why were rashes appearing around children's mouths? Why were gums receding in people barely out of college? And why did the most tested product in history have so few public test results? Governments could no longer ignore it. The age of regulation had arrived, or at least the illusion of it. In 1976, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration finally issued classification rules for over-the-counter dental products. Labels would list active ingredients and warnings. For the first time, the public saw words like sodium fluoride, 0.24%, or do not swallow. But there was a catch. The new law didn't require companies to prove their products were safe, only that they weren't immediately dangerous. Toxicity became a matter of interpretation. If a product harmed you slowly, it slipped through. Across the Atlantic, Britain formed the Committee on Dental Products, while Canada drafted its own cosmetic regulations. Yet all of them relied on data supplied by the manufacturers themselves. The watchmen were guarding their own gates. Internal memos from the 1,980 seconds later revealed a quieter battle. Marketing departments argued with research labs over disclosure. One scientist wrote, "Repeated exposure to SLS may inflame mucosal tissue. Recommend dilution." The reply came not from a medical officer, but a brand executive. Consumers associate foam with clean. Reducing foam is not an option. And so, the formula stayed. In another file from a European brand, chemists reported trace amounts of lead in imported calcium carbonate. Rather than change suppliers, the company reclassified the impurity as environmentally unavoidable. A paper trail ends there, sealed under proprietary information. By the 1,990 seconds, consumer advocates were gaining traction. Class action suits alleged false advertising. Whitens instantly. Dentist approved. All natural. One American case revealed that a new natural whitening paste contained titanium dioxide, a pigment later flagged as a possible carcinogen when inhaled. The company settled quietly, paid a fine smaller than 1 week's advertising budget, and re-released the product with a new name. Public outrage faded as quickly as it rose. Each scandal lasted a news cycle, but the smile on the billboard never changed. As regulations tightened in the West, manufacturing moved east. Factories in Asia and South America produced toothpaste for pennies per tube. Many formulas contained ingredients banned in the countries where they'd be sold, a legal loophole known as differential compliance. A shipment rejected in London could be repackaged for Lagos or Manila within days. The label would change language. The chemical list rarely did. And still, commercials showed glowing families and taglines like, "The world's most trusted toothpaste." Trust had become a trademark, not a promise. Then came the internet. Bloggers and YouTubers replaced jingles and posters, but the message stayed familiar. Whiter, cleaner, better. Influencers swore by charcoal whitening, blue light kits, detox toothpastes. Few mentioned that charcoal can erode enamel, or that LED devices rarely whiten anything but wallets. The new ads didn't need studios. They needed smiles. A ring light replaced the billboard. A discount code replaced the research paper. Soft electronic pulse begins beneath the narration. The corporate voice had simply changed accent from radio announcer to influencer whisper. And billions clicked by. Look at the object in your bathroom tonight, that small tube waiting on the sink. It carries 5,000 years of history, from crushed bones and ashes to radium, mercury, fluoride, and foam. Every squeeze is a ritual of faith. Faith in chemistry, in corporations, in the idea that progress can be packaged. Maybe it's safe now, maybe it isn't. But one truth hasn't changed since Egypt's first tooth powder. We've never brushed for health alone. We brush for acceptance, for beauty, for the illusion that control is possible in a world full of decay. And that illusion, no matter how bright it shines, is still darkly explained.